we went outside, we spray painted black, and then we did a zenithal highlight from an angle and over the top. Typically, I just do over the top, but just to make these miniatures pop just a little bit more, I did it at an angle all the way around as well. You can see that the darks are dark underneath as well, and that's good enough. So there's three ways you can do it. Like I've said before, you can do it with an airbrush, you can do it with a spray can, or you can do it with paintable primer and a dry brush with the white itself. Any way you'd like to do it. And this is not contrast paint. These are inks. That's all I'm using is inks. So I will tell you exactly how I did this, kind of mimicking a contrast paint or a way you would slap chop a miniature, something along those lines. So, but this is all inks, and this is something I've been doing before contrast came out a long time ago. So I want to show you my method of using speed paints or inks instead of contrast. So we have our first step done with this guy, and we used a very, very nice looking blue, and this is from the AK range, and that blue is called Deep Blue, and it's AK Interactive's ink, acrylic ink, and they're really, really nice. They dry very matte. It's a very matte finish. There's no glossy finish. Just got to remember to shake them up really good before you use them. And we don't use a whole lot of it, which is great because I bought these and they're going to last a long, long time. So this one, obviously, this is a cipher. This is a marionette. And our end goal is these fellas back here, which I'll show you guys a shot of those in a little bit. So the first step is the blue. Now, I'm going to mix all these colors, and you can see there's a few spots that are white there. No big deal. We'll just touch it up with a little bit of straight ink because they're in the recesses, and it's dark, especially up there. As you can see in his head there, there needs to be a little bit of blue there, and this is all recessed stuff, so I can just take a little dab of the blue on my palette and just, tap it in there. No big deal. But this is the desired effect, and it's very matte finish, and this is what we're going for. It's a one coat and done. And you can see here too, I overlap with a little bit of blue. We'll fix it up with a little bit of white. It's no big deal. It's really simple. I literally can paint one of these in about 15 minutes. And that's the great part about speed painting and using the 3-foot rule and just getting things finished. I have a big game, a firefighter tournament, and I want to take my Asterians. I have the Forge Fathers. They're all painted and ready to go, but I kind of wanted to use the Asterians because I really like the Asterians as well, especially the Matsudan, the samurai lizards that they have for the Asterians, which I use in Dead Zone quite a bit. They're not painted, but they're going to be painted in a similar fashion, except they're going to be, instead of the normal red samurai that you see on the actual box sets, you're going to see them in a turquoise and purple, which is pretty cool. Now, I'm going to say this right at the beginning. All of our ink is going to be mixed exactly the same way. And what I mean by mixed is you don't use it straight out of the bottle. You actually use the magic sauce. And the magic sauce is deep shades from AK Interactive. It is a deep shade medium. We're going to be using this. You're going to use 3 drops of the blue, 2, 3 drops of the deep shade. And we're going to mix them all exactly the same way. Now, if you want this color to be a little bit more opaque, you'll add a little bit more medium. If you want it to be darker, you add less medium. And it's super, super simple. So let's get into it. All right, now we're going to mix our green. So we're going to open our magic sauce, deep shade medium. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3. And that's quite a bit in there, which is good. And do not wash your brush off because we're going to bring the ink in after it's had a good shaking. And we're going to do 1, 2, 3. And this is a lot, so we're going to put an extra one. Just roughly a 50-50 mix of this is basically what it is. And then we're going to just stir it up real good. Make sure it's good and milky. There we go. And then we're going to drag it across our paper towel to see the opaqueness of it. See if this is a dirty towel. So we're going to take that, we're going to roll it. And that's a little thick, a little thicker than I want it to be. So we'll add just a little bit more secret sauce. So you just got to experiment and check it out. So we're going to clean this brush off. We're going to get a little bit more in there. And that should do it. And I mix these all exactly the same way. Spread that out. Yep, that'll be good. I'm going to mix the orange the same way. I'm going to mix the blue the same way. And I would recommend, if you've never done this before, put more medium in than you probably need just because of the opaqueness. You need the opaqueness on the miniature. So let's get over to the miniature. All right, now that we got our green all mixed up, we're going to choose a kind of a medium-sized brush. And I don't know where I did with it. There it is right there. And we are going to do his head. We're going to do his arms in the green. We're going to avoid the weapon. It's okay if we accidentally touch it because it's going to be black. And the reason why I chose to do black, if you look at them from this far away, the finished ones, you can tell where the weapon is. And it also adds kind of a backdrop, or it kind of pops the color a little bit more. So that's why I use black for the weapons. I was going to use white, but white was too bright. I think the black kind of rounds it up pretty dang good. So we're going to start, get a little bit on our brush, and we're going to start on his helmet. Okay, so green, done. Minutes. Awesome. So now we're going to mix up. And by the way, when you do mix this up, if you only have one miniature to do, you don't need to mix as much as I did. I have several sitting back there. I'm going to continue putting the green on those fellas back there. But if you're doing a small batch, keep it 50-50. 1 drop of deep shade, 1 or 2 drops of ink. Really simple, and then you don't waste a lot. But we are going to pick out some white parts, and we're going to paint. Actually, we're going to paint the black on the gun first, and then if you see on the back of these fellas, the orange glow, I went ahead and painted some dots of white where I have this orange glow at, along with these glows on his arm and on his gun. I fixed those up with a little bit of white and I made sure that before I did the orange, I did that. So we're going to put a little black on our palette, and we're going to paint this weapon here. And looks like I need to touch up the green here, and I'll be right back to show you what's next. Okay, so the black I'm using is Smoke Black. It is an AK. It's a very smoky black. It's like a kind of a very dark gray, probably darker than I guess Panzer gray, but it works great. It looks good. It doesn't need a lot of highlighting or any highlighting at all, for that matter. If you don't, because this is kind of going to be like the frame for the miniature, basically, kind of like the bases are over there for those guys. That's kind of like the frame for them, makes them pop. And I keep things very simple and very quick if I can. Okay, there's his weapon. It's all finished. It is all painted in the Smoke Black. Now what we're going to do is we're going to accent these parts right here. And so we can paint them orange, these glowing parts, on the weapon and on his back here and his eyeball. So we're going to do that right quick. And what we're going to use is we're going to use AK Interactive's Intense White. So let's carry on and get that. And there we go. With all our white picked out, the things that we want white picked out for all the glow, we're ready to do the orange. Now I'm going to add a little bit more white to his eye, make it a little bit more dynamic, a little bit brighter. There we go. All right, let's mix up our orange and finish that up. All right, now we have our orange all mixed up. We're going to grab ourselves just a kind of a crappy brush, and we're going to put it on all the white parts that are on the miniature. And there you have it. Not much to it, but it looks good, and it's tabletop ready, and he looks like his friends back there. So to finish this miniature up, I usually do a ground cover. And this one's Diorama FX by Vallejo. It's earth texture. And all I do is really simple. And I decided with these fellas here, the Asterians, they're on an alien-like planet, but I want to keep it dark. So I decided with the grim dark gray ground cover, and then I would put this all over the base. And as you can see, you got the finished product. I put the grid on, I did a Nuln Oil or black wash, doesn't really matter what you use, plus a few tufts, makes it look awesome, frames it in, and he looks just like the rest of his buddies there. The Asterians are finally ready for battle, and this is a quick way you can do it without having to use a contrast paint or a speed paint, which those are great as well, but you get a heck of a lot more in these bottles than you do in any kind of speed paint. Also, I'd recommend, and I have videos on these dipping inks too. There's a lot more in those. Those are a speed paint as well. But these look great from about a foot away here. They look awesome. They're framed in. They'll look great on the battlefield, and I'm very, very happy. If you liked anything you've seen here, please give me a like. Also, leave in the comments. Tell me your special way of how you speed paint miniatures. And please subscribe. Please, please subscribe. It really helps me out. That's all I've got. Ta-ta!